Greetings, welcome back to the Devlog for Indie Hoverboard Racing. One of the main focuses this week have been firstly on combat and then also for controller support as well. So hopefully, depending on how we go, we're definitely going to be looking at adding controller support, i.e. being on PlayStation or on Switch. I think the game could work really well for there. So as you can see, to start off with, we've got a really nice design on our board. Also branded up the character a little bit, so you can see we've got Hoverboard Racing on there as well. If we get on the board, so one of the key problems that I'd noted before, so if you're on a keyboard and mouse, then the movement was really smooth, but especially for when you're doing like the sliding, drifting rather, I noticed that it just wasn't as slick, didn't feel quite as good. So what we do when we're sliding now, we just have a bit more like camera direction. So essentially, the camera drifts. So what happened before is that the camera would always follow the movement. So for instance, if the character went over there, if the board went over there, the camera would always follow them, and it didn't. So one thing that you could do on the computer that you couldn't on a controller was it felt like you could kind of turn the mouse into the corner while the board was drifting, so you could still look in a different direction. So I've just added the capacity to do that now. So essentially you're drifting one way and then the camera is turning. So this is me essentially just holding the drift and the left hand button. So you don't necessarily looking exactly where the board is pointing, you're just a little bit off. However, if we do decide to look, so we want to use our left one, we actually get a lot more control. So if we're already turning one way, then we can get around the corner a lot faster, and that just means the turning potential of the board itself is a lot higher, so we can get where we need to go a lot more quickly. You can do faster U-turns. It just feels like the whole thing is a lot more responsive. This is quite a good approach for controller, because it feels sometimes one of the issues that you can have with controller is it can either feel quite dull or it can feel over the top. So when we're going left and right, for instance, we have quite a lot of control over the left and right. It feels like it does quite a lot. Whereas if we're going quite fast, then we dull it down a little bit, so that when you're turning left and right, it doesn't feel like you've just broken the game. And now with adding in the actual drift as well, so you just hold the left trigger, and so holding the left thumb pad plus the left trigger, essentially all you need to do in order to steer around the course now, and the main reason for doing this is because we want to free up the face buttons. So where before it felt quite nice to actually be able to control the feeling of exactly where the board is going with the gamepad. Number one, it was quite demanding in terms of the gameplay requirements for the player. It didn't really suit casual players. More than that, it just means that we can free up the other buttons to be able to do things. So for instance, one of the things that we're going to add, so if you do right trigger, then you can shoot items, which is fine. Again, that doesn't necessarily free up require your button. But say if we want to do a trick, then you need to press the bottom face button. So if you're trying to turn and do a trick at the same time, it's very tricky. Whereas now, not such a big deal, kind of easy. And the other thing is I want to add in attacking and dodging as well. So on the ground, excuse the camera, it's a little bit of a bug while using controller. So on the ground, firstly, if you just press in any direction, just tap the dodge button, then you get a dodge. If you're holding down the right trigger, then firstly you're in block mode, which is responsive, and it also means that you can do directional dodges as well. So that's based on where you're going from and to. If you have a hoverboard on your back, then as I say, you can hold that forward and do a dodge, and then if you need to really get out of the way, then you can do a big old jump. And that's just quite cool. Just quite a cool movement mechanic as well. That means that you can just get around a bit more quickly, rather than just having to just walk everywhere. The difference between hoverboard and running is quite different. Oh, sorry, it's quite large. So just having that kind of midpoint where you need to just get over there, you just want to do it quite quickly, that's definitely a lot more doable now with this type of approach. So we've got lots of different movement types going on, and I want to extend these into the board itself. So where we have a weapon, for instance, I want to be able to get the weapon out, so that if someone comes near you and tries to attack you, maybe you trade some of your board momentum for the ability to attack them. Similarly, when you are guarding at the moment, I'm just going to switch to effect. Let's see. Yeah. So if you hold down the left trigger and then you press the attack button, you will actually do an attack as well, as in ranged attack. But this is only if you've got one of your ranged attack items equipped. So this will essentially be a choice between your sword and a ranged weapon. So you'd choose to have your ranged weapon equipped, and you'd be able to shoot people. And then obviously that would translate to the board, where if you had that particular weapon equipped, then it would mean that you potentially could shoot some very short range projectiles or some sort of pulse. So we've got loads of butterflies over here. These are actually vertex animations, so super duper cheap. I've also got loads of birds in the sky, and they're just flying quite high. I don't know whether you can see them, but just thought it'd be quite cool to add. Okay, so in terms of other bits, so the main thing that I've been working on, as I say, is really more of the melee type stuff. So this is our vertical slice area. It's called Cherry Tree Canyon, and one of the last quests is the quest that I've been working on at the moment. I'm just going to get off the board using my keyboard. Oh, still having the control rotation issue there. So now we've got a sequence where once we've collected all the items that we need to from all the different races, then the mechanic talks to us or asks us to come to the back of this cherry tree where there's a hole in the area so that we can go up and go and fight Cade. One thing to note is I've changed the font on here, so it was just a little bit buggy before where it wasn't picking up specific symbols, even though they're all registered. It wasn't working quite right. Plus the other font was all capitalized, so I was still using it for the headings, but it just wasn't that easy to read. So yeah, anyway, so she tells you about the cherry tree and says this is the new challenge, these are the things that we've got to collect, these are components. Essentially once we collect all the components, beat Cade to get his time skip ability, then we'll be able to get in that portal and go back to the main area in the game, and that's Nocturnia. So this is essentially all just an intro area for the game itself, kind of mid-tier in terms of requirements, so we kind of get the player into the game quite early. And yeah, I'm just going to show you a little bit of combat now. I showed this a tiny bit before, but it's just something I've been working on. So adding little things like when the enemy dies, they disappear and stuff now, get a nice effect. Working on some of the collision bits, so for instance we can walk through these, so player still glides into them, but when the camera goes around it's not kind of jumping all over the place, which is quite nice. So we've got these patrols which kind of come around here. Oop. Boo. There we go. Cool. And then we also have in here, I don't know whether you can see one there. So not everyone loves platformers. I was actually thinking of my wife when I was creating this, but the number of times that we've been playing a platformer and she's managed to fall down and they'd been very, very frustrated is something I definitely wanted to avoid for players. So if they do manage to find themselves falling down, I've given them an alternative way to get back up, which are actually kind of cool. I think they're kind of cool. So these are actually the boost pads that you use when you're actually doing a race, and so it does actually boost your board. The difference is, so for each one of these, there's a projectile pathing tool inside the Unreal Engine, so you can pretty much predict where any particular thing is going to land. It's not perfect, but you can make it so that you can essentially have jump points that go all the way up towards a specific area. This is only going wrong because I've changed some of the jump points here. But if we combine this with the tool that we added earlier, so essentially we can dash up here, and if you're a bit better than me, one of the things that would be quite nice is when I see some people who are actually skilled at these kind of games playing this, because quite honestly, I don't know, it's I like to work on these things, but whether I'm a pro gamer is a little bit up for grabs. So as you can say, if I was less of a noob, I could see that that was there, I could dash up to it and then do a big jump up here, and we get to this guy. Ooh. Oh, and landed on another boost pad. And to be fair, we don't even really need the boost pads. We could just jump all the way up if we were so inclined. So yeah, just giving that some players just the extra kind of movement mechanics. Ooh. He says, getting on a board and falling all the way down. Yeah, this is exactly the type of thing that I want to avoid. Funny. In any case, we get all the way up to go and fight Cade. And then we can race him real quick. Oh, I'm just going to stop being able to go on my board, I think, when I'm in these areas. That's just something I need to add. I'll note for myself for later on. Eek. It's because it's F to interact. I'm not used to using F to interact in games anymore. It seems to be a mix of E and every other button apart from F these days. Anyway. Okay. Cool. So now should be able to get around. Oh, I think there's some stuff that's invisible. It's causing some blocks, so I'll have to remove them. But now come and interact with him. So Cade's race is a little bit different. So he uses his time skip ability now and kind of disappears, and when he reappears, he's already done a lap of the course itself. So one of the goals is essentially to get back from being a lap behind. We can see all the other players, who happen to all be very difficult in this particular race. That's a right pain in the butt. They're actually a lap ahead of me when you start, which is fine. You just need to get one of the items, and it will usually be a time skip. So you can see we're just kind of beating them up in terms of time at the moment. Okay, so we've got a time skip and we've got a boost, and we can actually cheat on the course as well. So I've left it open. Sorry if this is a spoiler for you, but if you follow the same way as them, you can have a very difficult race. So I've actually left a cheat there, so that you can make sure that you have a little bit of an advantage on the course itself. Because they're all on difficult, I'm probably not going to be able to do it. So one thing that I have been working on is just AI difficulty. So where before all the AI were essentially very, very basic, they would just go from point A to point B on the map, and then that's it, pretty much. They wouldn't actually behave like the riders. Now it essentially looks at the angle of incidence of any single turn, and then we'll do things like drifting and stuff, and then we'll get a boost. They've also got momentum, just like we have. So if we're traveling in a straight line and you don't turn, you get more momentum, stuff like that. So there's actually lots more happening behind the scenes for enemies. The one thing that I haven't added in yet is tricks, so giving enemies the capacity to do tricks, which I think I probably will add in due course. It's just not something that's been a massive priority for me just yet. Eesh, go. Ooh. I don't think I'm going to win on this one, considering my third lap. Sometimes you get a bit lucky with these things, sometimes not. One of the bugs that I fixed last time was this retry race panel kept on causing me issues for when, not at the end when I retry it like this, but during a race you could just press pause and then restart. And it kept on coming up. That's quite a difficult bug to solve, to be honest. I'll resolve now, obviously, but yeah, I just thought I'd mention it because I'm kind of talking about dev stuff that's been happening. So we've got to restart and quit. I added these first, and then I added the ability to retry later on, and it just kind of was a very difficult bug to resolve. Okay, so we can catch up with Cade this time, I reckon. Second race is usually a little bit easier. There's no particular code reason why it is. It just happens to be the way. I don't know whether it's a quirk of the engine or the way that the game itself is built, but it just happens to be that the first race is always more difficult. One thing I probably will do is make it so that if you get first in a race third time, then you get some form of extra reward. So yeah, it could be something to do with the way that races are restarted. I haven't looked into it too much, but it does just seem it's a little bit easier. They're saying that one thing I do want to add is that was an NPC using a time stop ability. So I just want to make it so that if you do get so that an NPC, or when an NPC does actually use that, it's more obvious that it's an NPC which has used it, rather than like a bug or whatever. I'm still 5th on this one. I don't think I'm going to complete this race. One thing I would say is I'm just kind of skipping directly to this race, so I haven't got any of the upgrades and stuff like that, which does make life a lot easier. We'll be doing a full packaged test of this package test build probably next week. I can see we've got one issue here where rider's kind of getting caught in the collision on that. There's always going to be lots of things like that right up until release. Talking about release, the game is actually in I have a Steam page live, so if you want to go on wishlist, please do. Obviously this isn't the state of the game, we've still got a year and a bit until the game itself is released, so there's a heck of a lot to work on, but given the progress that we've seen so far, I think we should be fine to release for then. So, oh cool, woo! This race is also a bit buggy, so there we go. We're going to say don't retry race now, so that we can just cover any other bits that I've been working on. So the main thing that I'm doing at the moment, as I say, I've got the Steam page released. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to go ahead and wishlist. That'd be awesome. I've been working on combat and just getting everything controller ready. As possible, I might be showing off the game a little bit this week. So anything I can do just to kind of get it in the best place possible before we do that, it's going to be fantastic. That's pretty much all for this week. Again, I'm just trying to be consistent with trying to get something out in terms of a video every Friday. The goal for me at the moment is just to have this vertical slice complete and kind of looking all good and polished. I'm working on controller, so bits like this UI and stuff, for instance, aren't controller supported at the moment. There will be. It's just a case of just doing it now, so just going to crack on and keep going. Hoping to have this vertical slice pretty much all finished and polished and stuff by the 29th. Something like that. If you're interested in learning more about this game, I am attending a few events, so you can come and find me there. You can send me a message directly. Leave a comment on YouTube, whatever you like. If you've got any suggestions about content that you'd like to see, maybe you've got some questions, please do let me know. Otherwise, thanks very much for watching, and yeah, cool, see you soon.